There you go. You know, for a guy who talks really fast and doesn't breathe during the thing, I shouldn't run up and down the stairs and then start the live because then I'm already just like behind the eight ball. Anyway, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the replay and welcome to Daily Fuel. My name is Bobby. I am the host of this group, the Spiritual Artist Quantity. And I'm just in a great mood today. Oh, by the way, it's Friday, so if you're watching live with me and you would like to, we can have a glass of wine together. So I'm going to take a sip. Cheers. I like wine. So, it's Friday. If you're watching on the replay, do me a favor and let me know that you're here. I'm already out of breath. I've been running around like crazy. Write a hashtag. Hashtag replay artist. Anyone you like. So make one up. I like them. You guys have been making up some good ones lately, so keep doing that. And if you're here live, you don't have to do that. You can just start commenting. Good Friday to you. Yes. Hey, Mikey. How you doing? Today is Good Friday, right? I'm not good. Good Friday to you. Yeah. I'm not really religious. I grew up Catholic, but I don't really practice anymore. And but I do know that it is Good Friday. So Ray says hi. Hi. Ray, how are you? How you doing? Nice to see you. And TGI Friday, Bobby. And yeah, that's kind of funny. Because as an entrepreneur, sometimes Friday is my least favorite day of the week because I feel like, man, I had so much I wanted to do this week. In fact, it's interesting because Monday is usually my favorite day of the week because I have the whole week to get all this stuff done. So that's kind of interesting. And Mikey has wine. Yep. And Robin is here. Hey, Robin, how you doing? Hi. You are going to have a heart attack. No, I'm not. Oh. Ray says, breathe for God's sake. Yes. I'm not going to drink too much wine because then I get a little loopy. But you know what? We've done this long enough. Let's begin. Oh, darn it. I got to turn this thing on. I had it all up and ready and everything. Here we go. Turn that off. Okay, good. I don't need to hear my own voice. Oh, Hector's here. I can see him. Hey, I can see you. You don't need the H, but thank you. You don't need it anymore. Did you click the thing? Is that a new thing that you did, or does it just suddenly work for no reason that we can comprehend? Who knows? Maybe you know. Let me know. Okay, I'm beginning now. Talent. Talent is nice. We all have talent. Every single human being has talent, but our talent here is art, and that's what we're talking about. So, yes, click. Thanks for finally doing that. It's only been like weeks that I've been asking you to do that, but whatever. Thank you. Anyway, forget you. Talent. So here in The Spiritual Artist, our talent that we talk mostly about is art, right? Now, yesterday I was talking about, what the heck was yesterday? Improving, right? And then all of a sudden I started on this thing. In the very beginning, if you saw it, I was talking about how you can't improve your talent. And this was just a thought that I had in the moment. So I decided to revisit that thought and do a whole live on it today. So the thought that I had was that talent itself is our innate gift from spirit, from source, from ourselves. You know, sometimes I like to think of it as me, big me, the higher self me was like, ooh, I'm going to go down to earth and be this really cool guy who talks fast and doesn't breathe, right? And I'm going to have this talent, and I came up with all the things, and then I got here, and I'm me, right? But I'm still that me. So that me was like, here's the talent that I'm going to have. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to do that. Not so much this, right? And so it was kind of that I figured that out on my own. That's just what I like to think sometimes. Is that how it worked? I have no idea. So that's what I think. So we bring these talents with us. They are innate. They are from spirit. And then we as humans start to cultivate, start to figure out how to use certain skills and traits so that we can express those talents. And that's what art is for a lot of us, I think. And I do believe that both of them, the talent and the skills, require our attention and intention. Attention meaning we have to keep an eye on them, we have to think about them, we have to work on them. An intention means we have to point them somewhere. We have to figure out, what do we want to do with this? So I have 3 things to talk about today. And the first one is not to be afraid to experiment. So this is really me talking to me here because I have this thing where I'll sometimes try to figure out everything I want to do in my head before I'll even take the first step. And that's not anything that works. It doesn't ever work for me. It probably wouldn't work for you. So the old way that I would do it was I would figure things out in my head, and then I would try and do it. And then I'd start doing it and realizing that everything I figured out in my head was a complete waste of time. So the new way of doing it is to just start doing. And luckily I have my good friend Landon who reminds me of this, and he reminded me of it again today. And in fact, I was telling him that I'm going to tell you a problem that I have, I said to him, and I already know what you're going to say to me. So you're going to say to me, stop thinking about it and just go do it. And then I told him the problem, and he said, stop thinking about it and just go do it. And I was like, I don't even need to have this conversation anymore because I already knew what you were going to say. So that's really it, is to just do first and then figure it out along the way. And so for me, this is kind of a new thing where I'm not so afraid to experiment. And I think that the reason I was afraid to experiment in the past was because I was afraid to show a failed experiment to anybody. I would have an idea for my business, or I would have an idea for, usually it was business stuff. And instead of like just working on it quietly and being in the background and experimenting with this or experimenting with that, I would make these grand announcements like, I am now doing this, and then figure out how to do it, and then not be able to figure out how to do it, and then feel like an idiot for announcing that I was going to do it, except now I can't really find a way to do it, or I didn't like it, or things like that. So what I'm doing now is I'm allowing myself to experiment, and that was really part of what this group was about, was a place to experiment as a safe space, which is why I kept saying it's a safe space, because I needed a safe space too. So, and I have been figuring things out, but instead of announcing what I'm going to do and then trying to figure out how to do it, I have been figuring out how to do what I want to do, and when it's ready, I'm going to announce it. So it's kind of like that. So number 1 is don't be afraid to experiment with your talent and your skills. And number 2 is something we've been talking about a lot lately, is to keep learning. Keep learning new techniques, new technology, new everything. We can stagnate and lose touch with our talent and with our skills. When I find that if I don't practice singing over a certain period of time, then when I go back to singing, it's not like I don't remember how to do it, or I can't do it anymore, or I lost it, or anything like that. It's just that now I've got to work a little extra hard to bring it back up to the speed where I had it before. Whereas if I would just keep doing it and maybe practice more and learn new skills with it, then it could grow and grow and grow. And I had a thought about this. It to me, it has to do with the time in which we live. Now, I don't know. Again, the big me was like, oh, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to do this stuff. But not only am I going to go down there and do this stuff, but I'm going to do it in the 2000s, So it's like, did we pick the time? Did we pick the talents? Did we pick the skills? I don't know for sure, but I like to think that there was some premeditation on my part as to why I'm here, right? And I think about that sometimes because it's like we not only have this ability to learn new stuff, but we live in a time when learning new things is almost mandatory. Because if you're not learning new skills, you're going to be obsolete very quickly, especially when it comes to technological things that you might be doing. So, especially with what I'm doing, it's like running a Facebook group and building digital media. There's a lot of technology that goes into that. And the things that I knew how to do 2 years ago, many of those things don't really apply anymore because the technology has changed. So a lot can be said for that with everything we do, even art. It's like you maybe you're a painter or something, but there's no reason why you can't figure out how to bring that to a digital realm, or even just how to photograph your work correctly to express it to a larger audience who can't see the actual painting that you made. maybe your art itself will never become a digital medium, but how do you share it across miles with people who will never see it with their own eyes, but can only see it in photographs or videos? You need to learn how to best express it through that. So we as artists now not only create the art, but have to create the communication of the art through the medium of the times in which we live. That just came to me. I didn't even think of all that. And the thing is, this is what I mean. It's like I got this spiel, but then all of a sudden stuff just starts coming out of my mouth. So I think our talent demands that we keep learning. Otherwise, especially in the time in which we live, because this time, everything is constantly in flux, constantly changing. And if we don't keep learning something, then we might lose some of the magic. The talent is always there, but the skills that we tap into it with might lose some of their luster. And finally, the last one is just to keep practicing. Use it or lose it, really. Which really isn't its own thing. It's kind of like an addition to the other two. But we just, in fact, I already said this. If I don't practice singing over time, I have to work extra hard just to get back to the level at which I was when I stopped, So I think practicing is a very important thing, or at least, to continue using your skills. So don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to keep learning new skills, and certainly keep practicing the skills that you already have. And that's my thing for today. And wow, look at those essays. Let's go through the thing. See what we got. Marsha, Mikey Ray, Robin, Hector, LOL, Robin. So, liking when you drink wine, you get like me. Knocking things over. Yeah, I'm going to take another sip, actually. That first time I had wine, I took a few sips before it started, and then I had a couple during it. And it's like wine just immediately kind of hits my head. So I don't do too much during the live, because that live, I hit the microphone with my hand twice. And I rarely do that. But I did it twice in one live. And I was like, oh, that was too much wine too quickly. Hector, yes, click. Good. Robin says, LOLOL. The guy who talks fast and doesn't breathe. Yeah, that's me. Right. Hector says, do first and figure it out along the way is the definition for steampunk. Oh, is it really? Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. In between, so my artwork are mistakes in between. So my artwork are mistakes that created a grander art. Okay. I think there's a typo in there, but let me, all right. So figuring things out along the way is the definition for steampunk. In between, all right. So, in between your artwork, there are mistakes in there, but the mistakes can sometimes be like gifts that, the serendipities that just kind of happen that make it even better than you could have planned it if you planned the whole thing out before you even got started. And that's the thing, is that when I'm trying to plan things out, before I'll even start, I'm not allowing for serendipity. I'm not allowing for spirit to swoop in and drop some great things in there. I'm trying to figure it out through my own 3D brain. Well, I can make it like this, and I could do this, and I could plug this in here, and I could do that like that, and then it'll be great. And then I realized, wow, that's really hard. If I just kind of went, let's see what happens. And let, some of that talent, that innate talent, just sort of fly in and save the day. It comes out really much, much better, doesn't it? And I mean, what do they say? The universe wants to surprise and delight you. Well, it can't surprise and delight you if you're pre-planning everything, and you have to stick to that plan. You have to allow for some unknowns. And I think allowing for that's a good daily fuel. Allowing for unknowns in your art. Let me hang on a second. I want to write that down. That might be tomorrow. So hang on, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here. Just let me see. I got unknowns, and then I'll look at that later, and I'll be like, why the hell did I write that down? I don't remember. All right. So there's that, right? And Robin says, not. Hang on, I need a breath before I read this. Robin says, not to be afraid to experiment. Bingo. A lot of times when I stare at a clean, bright, white, pristine piece of paper, I often try to think it all out beforehand with a design idea or a sketch or a process I want to do. And because I don't feel adequate enough to start. Good. I'm going to pause it right there. So we're looking at this blank canvas, right? The quintessential metaphorical blank canvas. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. I won't even start putting anything on that canvas until I figure out the entire process and the entire finished product. I won't even start making it until I figure out. And for me, as the entrepreneur type, it's not only figure out what it is, but how I'm going to sell it, for how much, and to whom, and what features they're going to want, what the benefits are. It's like I got to figure this all out before I'll even start like writing down an idea of what it looks like. Good. So let's finish this. It just doesn't get done. Right, exactly. But if I decide to just say, F it, pardon my français, pardon my French, F it, that's not French. Don't try to create a masterpiece. Don't have to plan it all out and just go for it. Then cool things happen that I never would expect. So that all comes when I choose to let go and decide to not be afraid to experiment. So that's it, Bobby. That's it. We're done. Thank you. That was the perfect end to the perfect Daily Fuel. Good night. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Robin, you're exactly right. You gotta allow for the unknowns. So maybe I don't need to do this one tomorrow. Maybe we're doing it now. Hector, Ray says, Hector is right. Do it, and sometimes you discover that you know so much more than you thought you did, and you can find answers. Never any mistakes, just discoveries. Cool, I like that. No mistakes, just discoveries. There are no mistakes, just discoveries. Oh, I like that. Thank you. I like that. That might be a post later tonight. Robin says, like I've been getting comments all day to do more of the non-digital stuff because my heart will show up. Yeah, I really like your non-digital stuff. The geometric things that you used to create. Those are some of my favorite pieces of yours. Not to knock the digital stuff. You do you. You be you. You know, you don't have to please me. But I'm just saying, like, those other pieces, to me, were always, like, fantastic and really, really interesting. Especially wine on an empty stomach. Okay. Yeah. Hector says typo, right, from the other comment. Good. Robin says, yes, a lot of times the mistakes turn out to be mini masterpieces. They do, and you never know. You just never know. You have to allow the process to unfold. And Marcia, did I say hi to you yet? Oh yeah, you did. You said TGI Friday. Marcia. Well, hi again, Marcia. Hi. Nice to see you. Marcia says, I'm speechless today, Bobby. Everything was very well said. Cheers. Oh, well, you must be drinking wine too then. Cheers. Thank you very much. I really do like wine. But thank you, Marcia. I appreciate you saying that. Allow for unknowns. I like that, says Robin. Yes. Hector says, yes, they become gifts. Every time I created a gear and it broke in half one day. The half became the gift. Two pieces better than one. So, all right, so you're working on something and it broke. And so what I'm guessing is, well, let me read the next one. Allow for the unknown. I enjoy it every time. It's awesome. Okay, so here's what I'm guessing happened, right? You're working on something and it broke, and instead of now having two pieces of garbage, you figured out how to make two pieces of art from it. So that's pretty interesting, right? That happens. Here's something that happens to me sometimes, because I do a lot of digital stuff. I'm working on something. And this doesn't even have to do with art, but this could be, it especially happens with art. I'm working on something, say in Photoshop or Illustrator from Adobe, and I forgot to save while I'm going, right? Oh man. So you're working on something for a while, and then what happens? The program crashes, and you go, holy cow, I didn't save any of that, right? Well, After I spend a minute or two like crying and just like, oh my god, that's the worst thing that could have possibly happened in human history. I go back, I open it up again, and I go back to the file, and I see that wow, I'm like a half an hour ago that was saved, and now all that stuff I've done in the last half hour is gone. Almost every single time a funny thing happens, I do it again, and it doesn't take a half an hour because now I've already figured out all the steps. It takes a couple of minutes usually, right? And it comes out better. It's kind of weird. It comes out better because now it's like I practiced it. And so it only cost me a few minutes, maybe, maybe not from 30 minutes to 2 minutes, but maybe from 30 minutes to 12 minutes or 15 minutes. But it comes out better. So was it worth the 15 minutes and the for a few seconds, or would have rather that it just I finished it, it's good enough. It's interesting, So now Hector, he breaks the thing in half, but he turns it into two pieces of art, or turns it into a different piece of art, or something. Somebody else is anonymous. Let's see who we got. Oh, great! I'm wearing my glasses, so I can't see the phone. Let me see. I'm speechless today. Yes, they become. Alyssa, hey, Alyssa's here. Alyssa Povey is here. Welcome, Alyssa, to Daily Fuel. Great to see you. So, Alyssa, I don't know if you've ever clicked that Ecamm link. It's in the top description of this live. If you get a chance, just click it and give Ecamm permission. Otherwise, I can't see who you are. And that's why I have my phone here so that I can look and see. But anyway, if you get a chance. So let's see what Alyssa says. Alyssa, I do a quick sketch or write a few words down that I'm going to draw or make and go with. Sometimes the stuff that isn't planned all turns out the best. That's cool. So that's like what I should do, except instead of doing a quick sketch, I try to imagine the entire thing in my head. But this is really great. See, I did it differently now when I did my graphic novel. By the way, I'm still working on that. I haven't spoken about that in a couple weeks, but because I've got 3 different things going on at once, and I'm trying to unleash them all at the same time. But with the graphic novel that I'm working on, I did something I've never really done before. I'm going to show you. I did this. I just sort of made a mock-up of the book just to sort of guide me along the way to so that every time I was working on a new panel, I didn't have to like invent it from scratch. So what I did was I just went through first I wrote a script, and then I rewrote it until I got a script that I liked. And then instead of going right to the art panel by panel, I drew this so I could kind of map out the book a little bit. And it gave me an idea of what the characters looked like, of what the scenery looked like, without having to design it all perfectly from minute one. And by doing that, it kind of just gave me a nice wash, like almost like I just took something and I splashed it on, and now it's like, oh, I see, that's where all the pieces go. And that made sense in my head, probably not to you. But now that I had that, when I went to do the actual things, I sort of just had a template, a guideline to lead me. And that was different for me because in the past, I would have to have everything perfect in the first panel before I would even allow my brain to go to the second panel. And except this time, I got to the end of the book and I kind of understood the nuances of it and just the general strokes, the broad strokes, right? That's a good way to put it, the broad strokes. And then I could put in the details. That was different for me, and it's working. So thank you for that, Alyssa. That was really good. Where were we? Ray says that no mistakes is probably the Bob Ross in me talking. I used to love that when I was a kid. They used to play Bob Ross in school, and we'd draw along with it. I really loved that show. But in school was the only time. There was also a German guy that they did sometimes, and he was not like Bob Ross. He was very like, draw a boat. I loved his stuff too, because his drawings were more interesting. Bob Ross was all like happy trees and things, but he was so nice to listen to. But the other guy was not. I don't know who that is. I just remember watching that show in class too when I was a kid. Oh, says Robin, I save while I'm going all the time. Yeah. Because many days later or a month or any time, and I grab one of those to remodify again in a different way, all because I saved them along the way, even though they weren't finished pieces and not likable at the time. Yeah, that's smart. You got to do it. Happy little trees. Mikey. Yes, Mikey says. Ray Robin says, I like the little book idea. Excellent, especially because it keeps it in order if I am interpreting it correctly. Yeah, it keeps it in order. It also just kind of gives me an idea. It was able to allow me to kind of imagine what everything looked like without having to have it down pat. And it allowed me to imagine further out than I would have allowed myself to imagine the old way, if that makes sense. And Brandy is here. Hey, Brandy. How are you? Nice to see you. And Brandy says, awesome. I'm going to assume that she means I'm awesome. Of course. So storyboards do work. Storyboards, that's the word. I can never remember that word. Yeah, see, I like the storyboard idea for the graphic novel. I do not like storyboards for videos, because when I do storyboards for videos, I try to figure out all the pieces. It's very strange. When I do videos, I have to just kind of start at the beginning and go. But also because the graphic novel is a weeks-long process. It's taking me weeks and weeks and weeks to work on this. A video is hours, you know? So when I do a video, I'll just have sort of an idea in my head of the tone that I want for it. I'll have an intention of the energy and the emotions that I want to hit with the video, and then I'll find music that kind of goes with that, and I'll have a script and the voiceover or whatnot. But then I'll find visuals that I like that fit into that, and then I just take them and I dump them out onto the video editor, and they land great. They land perfectly. Like I've said, this clip lands right on the music beat. It's amazing how that happens all the time, and that's the serendipity of it, because I don't try to figure it all out in my 3D brain before I'll even start. Brandy, just saw Bob Ross on TV at the hotel. Felt like I was back in time. That's pretty cool. He's still on TV. Here's a trivia thing about Bob Ross. I didn't know this until recently. I saw something about this. So Bob Ross, he started the show, and he had that hair, right? So they made his branding and his logo and everything, his silhouette, like it was the hair and everything like that. And then he wasn't allowed to cut it because he wouldn't have looked like his branding anymore. And apparently, according to this thing that I saw, he hated that hairstyle. Apparently, somebody let my dog out of the room. So sorry about that noise. Robin says, it was allowing you to imagine your future self. The little book. Time for another sip. Well, the little book is allowing me to imagine my future self. That's interesting. Yeah, I like that. Let me think about that. It is, like I said, the creating a book like that, it's weeks and weeks of work. So I can't just take the pieces and dump them out like I would in a video. So it did allow me to sort of go quickly through it to the end as I would a video, and then I saw it all came together. And even doing it in that quick way, ideas would come that weren't written into the script. I would be like, oh, this would look better like this, because now I'm looking at it visually rather than just typing words. You know what it is? My son just came home from a birthday party, and so he's walking around. I don't know if you can hear that, but I can. And it's not that I'm worried about it's distracting to you. It's very distracting to me, which is what it is, because it's literally inches above my head. But that's fine, because he doesn't know. Ray says, we each have our own way to work at stuff that works for us, and your dog is making my dogs bark. That's funny. We each have our own way to work at stuff that works for us. Yeah, we do. And I think that's part of this, is that our talent is innate, but our skills need to be worked at, and we can experiment with new ways of finding those skills and honing those skills and playing with those skills. It's like they're even like great musicians or something will always find new ways to play their instrument, or new things that they can do with it. And I think any artist will do that. Like, find a new way to approach what you do. Maybe That's another good one. New, like find a new way to look at what you do from a completely new perspective. Maybe I should drink wine every day. Wasn't Bob Ross made into a chia pet? I think he was. I think he was. Yes. All right, guys. Well, then I'm done. Let's be done, shall we? And thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. And yeah, this was fun. So I'm done. I really need a way to wrap these things up. I know, Robin, you say it's funny and everything, but I get this all of a sudden this blank look goes over my face. And I'm like, how do I wrap these things up? I don't know. So I'm finished. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with me. As always, I appreciate it greatly. And tomorrow's Saturday. I'll be doing a Daily Fuel tomorrow, and then Sunday we have off, and then Monday's next week. And let me see. Robin says, "New way to approach your work." I like that. Yeah. Oh, I gotta write that down. Hang on. New way to approach work. New way to approach art. Maybe that goes with unknown because it's unknown, right? I think so. That'll probably be tomorrow's. We'll see. I've said thank you again before. I'll say it again. Thank you. All right. Have a good night. You guys are still here. It's like I'm just babbling at this point, and you're still here. that always intrigues me. Ray says tap dance off stage right. That would be great, right? I should just be like bye and leave.